It's been 53 years since a Cranston fighter pilot was shot down over the jungles of North Vietnam at the height of the war.
He survived the crash but was nowhere to be found when rescue crews arrived. Fred Miller was missing in action until today. His
mysterious story now has an ending. And Eyewitness News reporter Erica Ritchie brings it to us from the West Bay Mobile Newsroom in Cranston.
Well, let's go back to the beginning of the story. It all started right here at this tenement house behind me off of Pontiac Avenue in Cranston, where Fred Miller spent his teen years in the 1950s. It was here he decided to join the Air Force. But at just 30 years old, he went missing in action in Vietnam. And since 1965, his family has not known his whereabouts. But then on Monday, news from the Pentagon that Lieutenant Colonel Fred Miller is accounted for.
It was like I had a sucker punch in the gut or something.
As Colleen Miller sits with me in her East Greenwich living room, it's as if she's reliving her reaction to the news she received hours earlier. Her brother-in-law, Lieutenant Colonel Fred Miller's remains had been returned to American soil after being missing in Vietnam for more than a half-century.
I was in Garden City driving, and I had to pull over. And it just struck me that the full circle had come.
Colonel Miller was a fighter pilot on a recon mission in August of 1965 when his jet was shot down over the jungles of North Vietnam.
He had ejected from the jet that he was in. He was alive when he came on the ground. And then there's a little disagreement as to what happened.
This letter was sent to his wife, Teresa, following the attack. As she read it with her infant daughter by her side, she learned that the kid from Cranston who grew up in a house right off of Pontiac Avenue was now missing in action.
He had everything. He was right on the cusp of life.
That's what drew Colleen to him, even though she'd never met him. She married Miller's older brother Dan decades after he'd gone missing and was only married to Dan for 7 years before he passed. But her brother-in-law's mystery kept tugging at her heart, and this past Memorial Day, she felt a strong urge to share it. Colonel Miller's story was page 1 of the Providence Journal. Her story had every part but the ending.
Today is like the finale. Now we have the official word that his remains have been found.
And now that that biggest question is answered, his family hopes that all of their other questions will be as well, like whether or not Miller was captured by the enemy after his plane went down and whereabouts his remains were found. I did reach out to the Pentagon to try and seek answers to those questions, but the only thing they're saying as of now is that it was the Vietnamese government that led the recovery effort, and at least for now, that's enough to bring peace to Miller's family. In Cranston, Erica Ritchie, Eyewitness News.